just outside the BBC very shortly, a building that I've been interviewed in hundreds of times, but never once after I exposed the truth about the vaccines. And some people in my country, in our country, they won't believe it until they see it on the BBC. I fear, unfortunately, they're so complicit in the deception. I think it'll be a long time before some people will believe it, and it's on the BBC. Some people now must be on their 10th jab. Only 17% of NHS staff are taking the boosters now. So that means that 83% of the NHS are anti-vaxxers. That tells you something. And a friend of mine's been doing a survey of MPs over 65, and he can barely find any of them that are taking the vaccines. And they don't want to say they're safe and effective anymore either.
But they're still rolling them out to the public.
Still rolling them out to the public. And if you're in the NHS and you wouldn't take the vaccine yourself, surely it's immoral for you to give it to somebody else.
You know, today the UK has announced this as a government day of reflection for the COVID chapter, and there's a lot that we do need to reflect upon. And of course, with the government announcing this day, it's all about recognising the key workers and all the things that happened. And you know, people want to recognise those people. That's absolutely fine. A lot of people work very hard, but there's a lot to learn from that period of history. 5 years actually, where everything from lockdowns to social distancing, masking, these mandates, these restrictions, these absurd concepts that were imposed upon society must be reflected upon. If we're going to have a day of reflection, then we've got to look back at what really happened and ask serious questions. So,
do you think that the government's terms of a day of reflection are to actually deflect away from the real reflection that should be happening, which is all of these people here today?
Frankly, I think public awareness around this event is minimal anyway. I think a lot of people have moved on with their lives. People have almost self-deflected from these conversations, which is why we need to do things like this, and this is why I'm here today, is to support and amplify what's happening, and to remind people that if we fail to reflect, if we fail to implement the lessons from that time, then we'll be doing it all over again. So anytime there's an opportunity like this to speak into what's happening, I'll take it.
Asked permission for a protest ever in my life. I've never had the police stand in front of me and block me, and now they are. So everyone sit down, we're not moving, and we're going to be a pain in your ass.
Well, I hope that it's done what we want it to do, and it's raised a bit more awareness for people. That's why I'm here. Make sure that everybody understands that it can do damage, this vaccine. And has to many of us.
And are you vaccine injured yourself?
I am, yeah. AstraZeneca did me. Fibromyalgia, I've got peripheral neuropathy, autonomic neuropathy, small fibre neuropathy. I've got internal organ damage, kidney, liver. I suffer with tachycardia, which is the heart. I become jaded when I start to talk about these conditions. They are just one condition, and that is vaccine injury.
Did you have to fight at all to get the NHS or the perpetrators to admit that it was the vaccine that had done this to you?
I've fought all the way. It took 6 months to actually get to see somebody, and I was suffering with full body pain, so it meant that I'd get up in the morning and I'd be wiped out by the pain. The levels would go up to 10, 11, 12, it'd drop you to the floor. It was that severe.
Resist, defy, do not comply. Resist, defy, do not comply. Resist, defy, do not comply.
The real victims of COVID clearly are those that were murdered by the Dunwell and morphine, those that basically were injured by or killed by the vaccine, and those who still continue to be injured without realising it through cancers and other things that they're now dying of. It's just more gaslighting and whitewashing of what actually really happened.
What does it feel like when you're at the front of a march and you're walking through London and you're just seeing, because obviously London's a very packed and busy place, you're seeing thousands of just passers-by, people just out on their day-to-day business, and they're seeing this. What do you think must be going through their minds?
that's what I like looking at.
Yeah.
And I did that in 2023 as well. And, you know, I want to smack the people that kind of are grinning and you know, laughing as if, like, what the hell are they doing? But seeing kind of that dawning of, like, oh my God, like the boards, people's faces, the ages of some of the people that have died, and the kind of, oh my God, and their faces like look formless, they're like,
Yeah.
like that, and that is, I'm glad they're getting to see that, but it also, some of them just, I think, again, it's that fluoride stare, as I call it. It's like, the government basically need to be removed, they need to be exposed for their lies, and I look forward to the day that happens and we finally see justice, because this is the biggest crime against humanity ever.